My Daily Life. Chapter 1, A New Morning. The alarm rang at exactly 6 a.m. I opened my eyes slowly, still feeling sleepy, but I knew I had to get up. It was another new day in my simple life. I live in a small town with my parents, my younger sister, and my grandmother. Our house is small, but full of love. I got up from bed and folded my blanket neatly. That's something my mother taught me. Always keep your bed tidy. I walked to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and washed my face with cold water. It helped me wake up completely. After getting ready, I went to the kitchen. My mother was already there, making tea and breakfast. The smell of fresh parathas and tea filled the air. My little sister Ronnie was still rubbing her eyes. "Good morning," I said. "Good morning," my mother replied with a warm smile. We all sat together and had breakfast. My father read the newspaper while sipping tea. Ronnie talked about a dream she had. I just listened and smiled. I loved these quiet moments with my family. At 7:30 a.m., it was time to leave for college. I was a second-year student in a local college. I packed my bag, wore my shoes, and said goodbye to everyone. "Take care," my mother called out as I stepped outside. The road to my college was a mix of noise and peace. I walked through narrow lanes, past small shops, and sometimes saw familiar faces. A few of my friends joined me halfway. We talked about homework, teachers, and life. When I reached college, the classes had already started to fill up. The same routine began: lectures, notes, and assignments. But I didn't mind. This was my life. Chapter 2. In the classroom. The first class was English. Our teacher, Mrs. Sen, was very kind but strict. She always asked us to speak in English during class. "Who wants to read the next paragraph?" she asked. I raised my hand. I enjoyed reading aloud. As I read, she nodded in approval. "Good pronunciation," she said. I smiled. After English, we had history. That was my favorite subject. I loved listening to stories about the past. Our teacher told us about ancient kingdoms, wars, and heroes. I imagined myself walking in those times, wearing old clothes and living in a castle. The next period was maths. I didn't like maths much, but I tried my best. Sometimes I got the answers wrong, but I didn't give up. My friend Ali sat beside me and helped me with the hard problems. During the lunch break, we all sat together under a big tree in the college courtyard. We shared food, jokes, and laughter. It was the best part of the day. I had some homemade parathas, and Ollie had biryani. We exchanged bites. After lunch, we had science and computer classes. By 3 p.m., the day was over. I packed my bag and walked home with my friends again. We talked about movies, games, and exams. The walk felt short because we were always laughing. Chapter 3. Evening Chores. When I reached home, my mother was watering the plants. Ronnie was doing her homework in the living room. I went straight to my room, changed clothes, and rested for a while. At 5 p.m., I helped my grandmother with some chores. She asked me to buy some vegetables from the nearby market. I took a cloth bag and some money and went out. The market was busy and full of colors: fresh tomatoes, green chilies, and sweet mangoes. "Give me half a kilo of potatoes," I told the shopkeeper. "Anything else, Beta?" he asked. "Yes, some onions too." I returned home and gave everything to my grandmother. She smiled and blessed me. I sat down to study for an hour. I had a test the next day. My mother brought me a cup of tea and some biscuits. By 7 p.m., it was dinner time. We all sat together again, just like in the morning. We talked about our day, who did what, who said what, and what we learned. My father asked about my studies, and I told him everything. After dinner, I helped Ronnie with her homework. She was learning multiplication tables. I made it fun for her by turning it into a game. She laughed when she got the answers right. By 9:30 p.m., it was time to sleep. I wrote a few lines in my diary. I always wrote about my day, what made me happy, what I wanted to improve. It helped me sleep with a peaceful mind. As I lay in bed, I thought about how simple but beautiful my life was. No big dramas, no big achievements, just small joys and simple routines. And that was enough for me. Chapter 4. A special guest. The next morning started like every other day. Alarm ringing at 6 a.m., brushing teeth, and having breakfast with my family. But something was different. My mother looked excited. "Guess what?" she said while pouring tea into cups. "Your uncle and his family are visiting today." "Really?" I said with surprise. "When?" "In the evening. So come home early if you can," she said. Uncle Raj, my mother's younger brother, lived in the city and rarely visited. His daughter, Meena, was the same age as me. We had grown up playing together during holidays, and I hadn't seen her in almost 2 years. "Okay," I said with a smile. "I'll try to finish everything early." At college, I told Ollie and the others about the guest. They joked that I was excited because Meena was coming. I laughed and nodded. It was true. I had many memories with her: cycling, drawing, playing cards, and eating mangoes during summer vacation. That day, I couldn't focus much in class. I kept looking at the clock. Time was moving slowly. After our last lecture, I rushed home. Chapter 5. The Evening Visit. By the time I reached home, the house was full of activity. My mother and grandmother were busy in the kitchen, preparing sweets and snacks. My sister Ronnie was helping decorate the living room. I quickly changed my clothes and started helping too, cleaning the table, arranging chairs, and making sure everything looked nice. At around 6 p.m., they arrived. Uncle Raj stepped out of the car first, holding a box of sweets. Auntie smiled warmly, and Meena followed behind them, carrying a small bag. "Hello, everyone," she said, her face glowing with joy. "Meena," I said and walked toward her. We shook hands, then laughed and hugged. The house became lively with laughter and conversations. We sat together and talked for hours about college, hobbies, and memories from childhood. Meena shared photos from her city college. I showed her my room, my books, and my small painting collection. My mother served samosas, jalebi, and tea. Everyone was enjoying the moment. In the evening, we sat on the rooftop under the stars. It was cool and quiet. Meena and I talked about dreams. She wanted to become a fashion designer, and I wanted to become a writer. "You write so well," she said. "Remember that story you told me when we were kids?" I nodded. "I still have that notebook." She smiled. "Don't stop writing. One day, people will read your stories." Her words touched me. That night, before sleeping, I opened my diary and wrote more than usual. My daily life was simple, but moments like these made it special. Chapter 6. The Rainy Day. The next morning, dark clouds covered the sky. It was clear that rain was coming. Still, I got ready for college like every other day. I wore my raincoat and packed an umbrella just in case. As I stepped outside, the first drops began to fall. The air smelled fresh and clean. People rushed to cover their shops. Kids ran with their school bags over their heads. And rickshaw drivers pulled out plastic covers. The rain became heavier by the time I reached college. I was wet from the knees down. My friends looked the same. Wet shoes, dripping umbrellas, and soggy notebooks. Classes started late because many students were late. In English class, our teacher gave us a fun assignment. "Write a short story titled The Rainy Day," she said. I smiled. I loved writing. During lunch, we couldn't sit outside, so we stayed in the classroom. Someone played music on their phone, and we all sang along. Even the rain outside couldn't stop our fun. By the afternoon, the rain had slowed down. On my way back home, I saw children playing in puddles, splashing water everywhere. I smiled as I passed by. I used to do the same when I was younger. When I reached home, I changed clothes and sat near the window with a cup of tea. The rain had painted the whole world fresh and green. I picked up my notebook and began writing again. this time about my rainy walk and the laughter of the children. Chapter 7: Helping Hands. The next day was a holiday. Our college was closed because of the rain and flooding in some areas. I woke up a little late and saw my mother already busy in the kitchen. "Since you're free today, can you help me with some things?" she asked. "Of course, Amma," I said. I started by helping her wash vegetables and cut onions and tomatoes. The kitchen smelled of curry leaves and spices. My sister Ronnie was doing her homework beside the kitchen table, humming to herself. After breakfast, I helped clean the veranda and wiped the windows. My grandmother needed help folding washed clothes, so I joined her. She always had small stories to tell while working. "When I was your age," she began, "we had no fans, no phones, and no buses. We walked miles and learned to live simply." Her words stayed in my mind. My life was easy compared to hers, yet she never complained. She smiled through everything. Later in the day, my father asked me to come with him to the nearby village to deliver some medicines. He works as a pharmacist and sometimes helps people in need. We rode on his bike through muddy roads. When we reached the small village, people welcomed us. My father handed out some medicines to the sick and explained the dosage. I helped him arrange the packets. One old woman caught my eye. She was sitting in a corner, coughing badly. "She doesn't have anyone to take care of her," a man whispered. My father gave her free medicine. She held his hand and said, "May God bless you." That moment touched my heart. That night I wrote in my diary, "Even a small help can bring a big smile. I want to do more for people like her." Chapter 8: Festival Preparations. A week later, excitement filled the air. Diwali was near. Our whole town was preparing for the Festival of Lights. Shops were decorated. Sweet stalls were open on every corner, and houses were being cleaned and painted. At home, my mother was making laddus and karanjis. The sweet smell filled every room. I helped her roll dough while Ronnie arranged the diya lamps on a tray. My father cleaned the front yard, and I made a colorful rangoli with colored powders. Meena and her family had left a few days earlier, but she had messaged me saying, "Happy Diwali in advance, send pictures." On the day of Diwali, I wore my best kurta, and Ronnie wore a bright langa. We lit diyas around the house, prayed together, and burst a few safe fireworks. Neighbors came by to greet us, and we visited a few homes too. That night, everything glowed: lights, smiles, and hearts. After dinner, I went to the terrace alone for a while. The sky sparkled with colors, and the whole town looked like a dream. In my diary, I wrote, "Today our small home looked like a palace, and I felt like a king, not because of money, but because of happiness." Chapter 9: A Small Achievement. One afternoon at college, our English teacher walked into class with a bright smile. "I have good news," she said. "Do you remember the story competition I told you about?" Everyone nodded. "Well, someone from our class has won second prize in the state-level writing contest." We looked around. Who could it be? She looked at me. "It's you." I froze for a second. "Me?" I asked. "Yes," she confirmed. "Your story, The Rainy Day, was selected. It will be printed in a student magazine next month." My classmates clapped and cheered. Ali patted my back and said, "I told you you'd be famous one day." I felt a warm glow in my chest. I didn't win first place, but that didn't matter. My words had reached people. That was enough for me. When I reached home, I told everyone. My parents were proud, and Ronnie said, "Now you're a real writer." That night, I didn't need to write in my diary. My whole day had already been a beautiful story. Chapter 10: A Lesson from Failure. A few days later, I received the results of my mathematics test. I looked at the paper and my heart sank. I had scored poorly. The red ink and the big circle around the marks made me feel small. Ali looked at my paper and said, "Don't worry. We all have bad days." But I was upset. I had worked hard, and still, the result wasn't good. When I reached home, I didn't say much during dinner. My mother noticed. After the meal, she came and sat beside me. "What happened?" she asked gently. "I failed in maths," I whispered. She didn't scold me. She just said, "Failure is a part of life. The important thing is to learn from it. You can do better next time." Her words comforted me. That night, I sat with my notebook and wrote, "Today I failed, but I will not stop. This is just a bend in the road, not the end." From the next day, I gave extra time to maths. I asked questions in class, stayed back to discuss problems with my teacher, and practiced at night. I made mistakes, but I didn't give up. I was learning not just maths, but patience and resilience. Chapter 11, The Day I Taught. One weekend, our English teacher asked for volunteers to teach younger students at a village school nearby. I raised my hand. On Saturday, I reached the village with a group of classmates. The school was small and made of bricks, with no fancy classrooms. The children were between the ages of 7 and 10. They smiled shyly at us. I was assigned to teach English alphabets and basic words. At first, I was nervous, but then I remembered how my teacher read with kindness and I copied the same tone. "A is for apple," I said, writing on the blackboard. The children repeated after me with bright eyes. We played word games, sang songs, and even drew pictures. When the day ended, a little boy named Raju held my hand and said, "Will you come again?" His innocent question made my eyes moist. I realized how powerful teaching could be. That night, I wrote, "I may not be rich, but if I can give knowledge, I can be useful. Maybe this is another dream I never knew I had." Chapter 12, Ronnie's Big Moment. One evening, my little sister Ronnie came running to me, holding a paper in her hand. Paya, look, I got first prize in drawing competition," she said, breathless with joy. I took the paper and smiled. It had her name in bold letters with a golden sticker. "That's amazing," I said. "You're an artist now." She jumped with happiness, and we celebrated with sweets. My parents were proud too. We clicked photos, and I posted one with the caption, "Little stars shine the brightest at home." Later that night, Ronnie came to my room and asked, "Will you come to my school's annual day? I'm going to perform." "Of course I'll come," I said. On annual day, she performed a dance in front of hundreds of people. She looked confident and full of life. I clapped the loudest. Seeing her grow and shine gave me more joy than my own achievements. I realized that my daily life was filled with these quiet but deep moments of love and pride. Chapter 13, A Simple Dream. One night, as I lay in bed, I thought about everything. My college, my family, my friends, my failures, and my small wins. I didn't have a rich life. I didn't have a fancy phone or a big house. But I had something many people longed for. A home filled with love, a mind full of dreams, and a heart that wanted to grow. My days were made of ordinary things. Walking to college, helping Amma, studying with Ali, smiling at strangers, writing in a diary, and sleeping under a quiet fan while the world outside raced. I opened my diary one last time that night and wrote, "My daily life is not made of big events. It is made of smiles, struggles, and small joys. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but today I am grateful, and that is enough."